I've worked for like 17 years. I work all the time. I've been paying medical bills on my son for 9 years since he was born. And he was just diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and has to have insulin every 2 hours. I just got his prescription. It was $1,000. I couldn't pay for it. I now have to go in and tell my 9-year-old son I couldn't pay for it. I work a full-time job. My husband works a full-time job. I work third shift. I go to school during the day. How are you guys making it? Am I the only one struggling? How are you guys doing it?
Because I did insulin and got it down to like $25. And I said, boy, I hope I win this election, because if I don't, somebody else is going to take credit for it, Bobby.
I'm on Medicare, and when Joe Biden was in there, my insulin was $6 for a 28-day supply. I just went to CVS to get my new supply. It went back up to $80, they said, because the American Recovery Act was canceled. So it went from $6 to $80.
As some of you may recall, in 2019, I took a busload of folks who were diabetics from Detroit, Michigan, to an hour north into Windsor, Ontario, in order to buy insulin. And what these diabetics found is they could buy the exact same insulin products in Canada for 1/10 of the price they were paying in the United States. And I will never forget tears welling up in the eyes of some of these people. As a result of the pressure that the American people are now putting on the pharmaceutical industry, telling them to stop the greed, stop ripping off the American people, stop forcing families to see loved ones die because they can't afford prescription drugs.
The cost to manufacture one vial of insulin is roughly $6. Now let's look at how much a vial of insulin costs consumers in these different countries. In France, $9. Germany, $11. Japan, $14. Australia, $7. The UK, $7. Canada, $12. And the United States coming in at $98. The United States pays a ridiculous amount for prescription drugs when that just shouldn't be the case. Oh, and by the way, all of these countries besides the US have universal healthcare.
I don't think we hate capitalism enough, because this man discovered what insulin was, and he sold the patent for $1 because he told the public insulin does not belong to me, it belongs to the world. Yet fast forward to today, there are over 1 million people in America rationing their insulin because they literally cannot afford it. There are Americans crossing the border into Canada and Mexico so that they can get more affordable insulin. Why? Because Big Pharma took that patent and started price gouging the hell out of insulin. So whenever you think you don't hate capitalism enough, I fear you do. I fear you do.
Imagine discovering a life-saving drug that millions of people would depend on. And instead of trying to profit from it, you sell it for just $1 so it can be available to everyone. Well, that's exactly what Frederick Banting, a Canadian, and his team did when they discovered insulin. Their goal was simple: save lives, not make money. But fast forward to today and the reality looks completely different. In the United States, people are now facing the unthinkable, choosing between paying for insulin or buying food. Meanwhile, in Canada, the same medication is significantly more affordable. So now people are asking, how did we even go from a $1 life-saving discovery to this? And it's not just a small difference. It's a gap that has shocked people all over the world, because we are not talking about a luxury product. We are talking about something people need to survive. Without insulin, people with diabetes can't function properly. It's not optional, it's essential. And yet, in one country, access can feel like a constant financial burden, while in another, it's far more manageable. Now, that contrast alone is what's driving this conversation right now. And what makes this even more difficult to ignore is that the United States is one of the richest countries in the world, with some of the most advanced healthcare systems. And yet, stories keep emerging of people struggling to afford their medication. While at the same time, just across the border in Canada, many patients are paying significantly less for the exact same treatment. So naturally, people are starting to compare, to question, and to ask what's really going on behind the scenes. Because when something that was meant to be accessible to everyone becomes this expensive in one place, it raises a bigger question. Is this about healthcare, or is it about how the system is designed? So guys, before we have this full conversation, let's take a look at these videos that I've lined up for you. Then I'll be back and we can break it all down.
Imagine having to pay hundreds of extra dollars a month just to live. That's my reality because I have type 1 diabetes and I need insulin to live. But insulin costs a lot of money. The price of insulin in the United States is 9 times higher than 33 other major countries. And this is because in America, our health isn't taken seriously. Our health is nothing more than something for pharmaceutical companies and health insurance companies to profit off of. And the people of America are tired of having to pay an arm and a leg for their health care. And I was tired of paying an arm and a leg for my health care, so you know what I'm doing? I decide to run for president of the United States in 2040 and start my own political party to change America. To make it a country where no one has to pay an arm and a leg for healthcare. To make it a country where people can have their own resources and live off of them. To make it a country where no one has to starve or not have a roof under their heads or suffer. Because we are the richest country in the world and we deserve a better quality of life.
I wanted to share this because this is insane. This is the price of insulin in the United States compared to other countries. This is actually so scary. Something needs to be done about this. I am a 24-year-old type 1 diabetic in America, and I have to choose between paying my rent or buying my insulin every month. And I usually end up choosing rent because I need a shelter over my head. I have had multiple occasions where I ended up really sick because I couldn't afford my insulin. Or I have to resort to asking random diabetics on the internet to use their insulin. That's not normal and it's not okay. I also have to save all of my empty insulin pens and extract the tiny little bit of insulin that is left inside. I know for a fact that I am not the only diabetic out there doing this. This is not normal. This is not okay. This should not be happening in the United States. It shouldn't be happening anywhere. But the fact that I'm in the US, which is considered to be a really good country, yet we have diabetics out here rationing their insulin and choosing rent over insulin, this is not normal and it's not okay, and I'm going to keep talking about it until something changes.
Cost differences of the same drugs, USA versus Canada. Humalog, $325 or $60. Invokana, $733 or $165. Trulicity, $1,117 or $282. Jardiance, $715 or $109. Novolog, $392 or $79. A little sus.
Whoever said that insulin is $35 in America is lying. I literally just paid $100 for 5 insulin pens, which will last me maybe a month or 2. I honestly don't know how I'm going to keep affording this. And trust me, I have tried all of the little coupon cards. I don't know if it's just my pharmacy, but they will not take it.
Of course, we had to leave it up to the Canadians to solve the US healthcare system's crisis for people with diabetes. I was just made aware this week that there is a company called Canadian Insulin that is a prescription referral service that gets Americans living with diabetes access to lower cost insulin. And if you didn't already know this, drug companies charge more for insulin in the United States than 3 dozen other countries. And so people have been getting their prescriptions now through Canadian Insulin for price reduction, but
support universal healthcare are telling us that they care for profits more than people.
So you think capitalism is the best system ever created and there's nothing better? Okay, under this system, insulin costs $3 to make, but they charge $600, which causes people to ration it, which results in the loss of life of thousands of people because they can't afford their insulin. But this is the best system. Okay, this system allows for 90% of all the wealth earned by hardworking Americans to be given to the top 10% of ultra-wealthy people, but this is the best system. Third world countries have a better education system than we do in America, but this is the best system. Third world countries have a better maternal and infant mortality rate than we do in America, meaning more children and mothers are surviving childbirth in third world countries than they do here, but this is the best system. In this system, 25,000 people lose their life to starvation every day, but this is the best system. In this system, we have a lower homeowner rate than China does, but this is the best system. In this system, tens of thousands of Americans who worked their entire lives to be able to afford a home have to take out second and third mortgages on their house just to afford medical bills because their spouse got cancer, which results in them losing everything, including the house they worked their entire life for, all because they couldn't afford medical bills. But this is the best system. If I can say all of that and you still say that this is the best system, I don't believe you.
We're back with another haul of all the things I need to live in a month living with type 1 diabetes and the cost of that in the United States. This haul, I picked up 4 total prescriptions. I'm going to walk you through what I got and the cost of each of them. And this is with health insurance. First up are my test strips. I got 100 for the month. These retail for $92.49, and I got them for $12.39. Next up are my pen needles to actually inject my insulin. These retail for $107.98. I paid $32.39. Then I picked up a 1-month supply of my Dexcom G7s. These retail for $464.99. I paid $187.60. Last but certainly not least, I picked up Lantus, which is my long-acting insulin. This is a 90-day supply. It retails for $316.99. I paid $40.50. And that brings our grand total for this month of prescriptions as a type 1 diabetic living in the United States with insurance to a total of $272.88.
Hey guys, I'm just doing full transparency of how much it costs to live in the United States with type 1 diabetes. This is for a Libre sensor for my mom because her and I both have type 1 and sometimes we share the same sensors. So here we go. Okay, so as you can see there, it costed $254.08 for Libre sensors for 84 days. Don't you just love having to pay to live? This is just so great.
When you really look into it, the difference between the United States and Canada is hard to ignore. In the United States, insulin prices have historically been much higher, often leaving patients dependent on insurance, assistance programs, or even rationing their doses just to make it last. And in some cases, people have had to make impossible choices just to manage their conditions. Meanwhile, in Canada, pricing regulations and a different healthcare system help keep insulin costs far lower, making it more accessible to the people who need it every day. And what makes this even more striking is the intention behind the discovery itself. Frederick Banting and his colleagues didn't want insulin to become something only a few could afford. They wanted it available to everyone who needed it. But over time, the way medications are priced and distributed, especially in the United States, has changed dramatically, involving manufacturers, insurance systems, and other factors that drive up costs. And that's why this conversation is getting so much attention, because it's not just about healthcare, it's about access. If a life-saving drug exists, but people struggle to afford it, what does that really say? And when two neighboring countries have such different outcomes, people are starting to ask why and whether things should be different. So guys, let's have this conversation in the comments below. I want to hear from you. So let's talk about it. And if you are into such deep dives, then don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe. You can also turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the next trending topic. My name is Amy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll definitely catch you guys in the next video. Stay blessed.